Well, well, well. Look who's back for another round of But the Book Was Better. Or was it? Welcome to Pages to Screen, the show that answers the age-old question, was the adaptation worth it? Strap in! It's time to dive into the thrilling world of did they really just do that? We're going to tear a masterpiece into masterpieces, dissecting adaptations to our beloved screen. Now, for today's scrutiny, this is From Page to Screen with your host, Timothy Imholt.
Okay, so this video is about Patriot Games, sort of the second of the Tom Clancy Jack Ryan books. Jack Ryan in the movie is no longer played by this guy; it's played by this guy. Harrison Ford might have heard of him a couple times. Had some pretty iconic roles throughout his career, which has spanned, I don't know, 50 years now or something. But he did two movies as Jack Ryan, and Patriot Games versus Red October is a much different story. Patriot Games is very complex. You've got Soviets, U.S., you've got all this kind of different complexity to it with submarines and this chicken and egg thing of can we figure out he's affecting is can we not? It's a whole big problem. But in Patriot Games, it's a much more interesting story in that it gets much more personal. So it dives into Jack Ryan, the person, dives into Jack Ryan, the family man, the former Marine, right? So if you look at how it opens, it sort of isn't just a series of unfortunate incidents or series of action events. It really kind of asks the philosophical question: how far are you willing to go to protect your family? And it goes on both sides of the equations, right? So the movie opens up with a terrorist attack on the royal family. It's Prince of Wales, which was Prince Charles, now King Charles, fictional version of the Prince of Wales. But the terrorist attack was thwarted because when the terrorist attack kicks off, the prince covers his family and does what he can inside the limo. He's kind of defenseless there. But Jack Ryan happened to be walking past at the right time and just said, "Okay, I'm going to get involved here and protect these people because that's what he does. He's a former Marine and they protect people." Um, and he gets shot in the process, so he gets kind of sucked into this. But also in the process, he kills one of the terrorists, which is the brother of one of the other terrorists. So now you got family vengeance coming after protect my family. And it's sort of this conflict that sets up the whole story and really asks a couple of questions that are much more philosophical and covered much better in the book than in the movie. How far can governments go to really stop terrorist threats that are just generally against people? Can we go onto foreign soil? Can we do all those sorts of things? Remember, this was pre 9/11, right? So it's asking these questions before the war on terror, where we kind of answered some of those. Whether you agree with the answers or not, we kind of answered some. But it really does ask that question of how far can we go to protect the world from terrorists, while at the same time saying how far would someone go to either seek revenge for their family or seek justice for their family, or in a case of Jack here, protect his family. What would you do to make that happen? And I think it in the book it does a much better job of kind of bringing that out, but in the movie it does kind of portray it as well. Now, there is one thing that I do want to point out that really kind of bothered me about the transition from book to film. I loved the movie. Absolutely love Ford's performance. I think he's probably the best portrayal of Jack Ryan in the five people who have played him. Okay. The streaming series is completely separate. We'll deal with that in a later video. But in the four people who played Jack Ryan in a movie, I think he's probably the best example. But in the book, there is a friend of his that's in the movie played by Samuel L. Jackson that had a much larger role in the book than he did in the movie, and I think the movie kind of lacks that friendship. It lacks that person. It lacks that role. And could you have done it in another 5 or 10 minutes of movie runtime? Probably. You had Samuel L. Jackson, but remember, movie came out before he was Samuel L. Jackson, right? He wasn't quite the big name he is today. But I think had the movie pushed that role a little bit more, it could have been much better. Already probably one of the best adaptations of Jack Ryan that's out there. But I love the movie, I love the book, but I think the movie could have been a little bit better. Now, would I boost it or burn it? Well, I certainly boost the book all day long. With one also nitpick as a fellow author, that if Tom Clancy was alive, I think we can all agree on one thing. He does go into a lot of technical detail on occasion, and there are times in the book when he does go into a little bit too much technical detail, and you're like, okay, make something happen, right? Well, it does get kind of steep in that stuff, and that's okay. It is what it is. And in the movie, they don't really get into almost any of the technology. They show it working. They don't really explain any of it, which is cool. I mean, in going into a film, you don't really want to say, okay, here's how everything works. Whereas in a book, you kind of have to do that. You don't have to, but you do that more than you do in the film. But I think both were excellent. I think as a second book, I think this is a fantastic example of what somebody can do in their career of writing. I enjoyed both thoroughly. I would certainly boost both. I might have a few nitpicks about each one, but hey, Tom Clancy's circulation certainly has far surpassed my career circulation. So he did something right. But both were great. If you get a chance to see him, see him. If you haven't read the book, pick it up. It's on Kindle. It's not hard to find. There's probably an audiobook version of it too. Certainly any library is probably going to have the thing. But fantastic book, fantastic movie. Certainly boost both. Enjoy both. Harrison Ford's performance is exactly what you expect. It does not lack. Right, it's solid. The movie's well cast, well directed, well produced. Holds up to this day. So I hope you enjoy it. Certainly boost both. If you haven't, click subscribe and like on the video. Everybody have a great day.